What's up, folks? Todd Tramonte here with my buddy Jason Simard. And last week, we did not record anything for you because we jumped on here and we both felt like we just needed to catch up with each other and like just talk about what it's like to be leading and caring for other people and feeling sometimes a little bit exhausted, but at the same time excited. So we decided that would actually be our topic. So um, I'll kick it over to Jason here in a second. But the topic is basically just, we're all leaders of some sort, whether it's your clients, your community, your team, your agents. If you're solo, it's your clients and your family or yourself. I'll talk a lot more about that, but I'll kick it over to Jason with a welcome and just like what's in your head on this topic.
Yeah, man, this is great. I'm glad we're talking about this because, I think it was last week, Todd and I were chatting and, it was kind of like, it was a pretty cool moment. Todd got vulnerable for a minute and so did I. We're just kind of like, he's just like, man, I wish I knew all the answers. I have no clue where we're going. And, like I've been a little short with my wife a couple times this week and that's not like me. And, and I was like, dude, it's normal, man. We're both leading. We're captains of a ship right now. And it feels like there's 40-foot swells on all sides and there's no land in sight. And there's a bunch of people looking at us being like, please get me to shore. So it's a scary time right now for a lot of people. And so it was cool for us to have that vulnerable moment with each other. We're just like, look, we don't have all the answers. And then we talked about things that we could do to kind of push each other forwards and gave each other a positive lift. And that certainly helped my mindset that day. And I'm sure it has with Todd too. So it's okay right now as a leader or, just anybody to be a little bit concerned and scared and fearful. The thing is, don't sit there for very long. When you realize that you're in that mindset is when you need to start thinking, okay, what can I control, and start putting a plan of action in place of things that you have 100% control over. And I think you'll start feeling a lot better. So I'm happy to discuss some of the things that I've been doing to help me keep a positive mental attitude, how to stay healthier during this pandemic. I don't want to be one of those people that puts on 15 pounds. I want to be one of those people that takes the time to just refuel my mind, my body, and be a stronger leader. So why don't we talk about, some of the things that we've been doing personally. Let's just start with personal. Let's not even talk business. What are some of the things we're personally doing right now? So why don't you kick us off with that, Todd?
Yeah, I've struggled with this a little bit. That's kind of what I was talking about last week because normally I'm in the car a lot more, even if it's just going to the office. I'm not out with clients anymore as much, really ever, but I'm going to a lunch meeting, I'm going to the office, I'm coming home, and I powerhouse audiobooks typically during that time, like speed them up, knock out a book or two a week, sometimes more. And a lot of times that's my time to like turn my brain off from me being the creator of ideas and just consume. And that's kind of a time I refuel and I kind of source new thoughts and ideas that challenges me and excites me. I don't travel a ton, but once or twice a quarter, I go to a mastermind or I go to an event or something. So just not having some of that has thrown me off my game a little bit. So what I've tried to do the last couple of weeks is get up a little earlier, read a little bit more. I try to spend time in the Bible every morning. Sometimes I'm doing that audio, sometimes it's physical, but I'm trying to get up a little earlier and extend that time because I don't have that commute time and stuff like that. And then to be really honest, I've been bad about the physical thing until just the last few days. So I've committed to, and I've challenged a couple of buddies, just 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and 100 jumping jacks every day, which is totally doable. It's really hard to say I didn't have time to do that, right? It doesn't require going anywhere or doing much of anything. So been doing a little bit better on the content and just kind of turning my brain off for a minute. And I haven't done as well on the physical. I'm in relatively good shape, but again, I don't want to lose that. So that's a good challenge. Appreciate that, man. What about you?
Well, so what I've done is I've created a little challenge for myself. So I started with that first. So I basically, my goal is to read a minimum of 10 pages of a day of a self-help book. And I have a bunch of them that are sitting collecting dust on my shelf. I'm like, it's a perfect time to start reading. So I've been reading the book that I'm reading right now, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon. What's his last name? Sorry, I forget his last name.
Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill. Great book. And what I'm doing is I'm highlighting a key thing that I'm reading every day as well, which has been excellent because I'm sharing it in our mastermind group. And then I'm encouraging others to do the same thing. It's a great way to kind of get a positive message in your mind. Right now, you kind of need to rewire some patterns. If you're one of these people that's sitting in a bad place mentally, you're going to need to reprogram some of that. So I think reading is helpful. The other thing I'm doing is I'm going for a hike every day. And my goal is to get at least an hour of exercise every day. Yesterday was my very first rest day. And the reason I took the rest day is because my legs are on fire. I just climbed a mountain with my son the day before. And that was a 3-hour hike. You know, it's 2 hours uphill and an hour downhill. The view was incredible at the top. I mean, it was so worth it. But, you know, we found ice and snow on the way up. Like it was a really cool experience. It was a mental grind, you know. It was physically exhausting, but it was so worth it. And so I gave myself a rest day yesterday, my first one probably in 10 days. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then I'm trying to give more now too. So I allowed myself, I took 4 days off this last week. I don't remember the last time I did that, but I took 4 days off. So I took Good Friday off, and I took Easter Monday off yesterday, and then the weekend, and I spent it with my family for 4 days. So that refueled my soul and you know, today coming into work, I'm ready to go and give to others now in a work setting. So one thing I will say, for those of you that have been working 7 days a week or don't allow yourself to take a day off, use this as an opportunity to get some good habits going. So work hard during the week and give yourself 2 days off. You know, rest your mind, focus on your family, focus on other things. If you can, give yourself a couple days off a week and work hard during those 5 days that you're working. That's something that I preach to a lot of my students. I believe you got to play the long game with this business. And if I could go back in time, I might have slowed my growth by just being a little bit more of a balanced human being. I would have had better relationships with everybody in my life if I go back. So personally, I feel like what I've learned is to be a more balanced human being. So take the opportunity, recharge. Don't take 7 days off a week. Take a couple days is my.
I think it's so key. You know, we hosted a huge event last year, and the best feedback on the whole event, and I shared like scripts and technical stuff and systems, and people liked it all, but the best feedback I got was on a session we did on work-life balance, because so many of us struggle, you know, to find it. I wasn't planning on doing this, but you just made me think of it. So you may disagree with this, so this will be good. Maybe we'll throw down. I've been telling our team and our coaching consulting clients that as an agent, this would be a great calendar for you during this crazy time. Like if you actually put in 4 to 5 hours of totally intentional work, which probably means another hour or 90 minutes of kind of, you know, transitional whatever, that you would, I think you're doing really well right now, right? Like if you 5 days a week, 4 to 5 hours of really intentional work, about half of that on lead gen and follow up, a little bit more than half if you can afford to. Ideally, 1 virtual appointment every single day. And then basically the rest of it on prepping and administrative stuff, and then a little bit of marketing. So for a lot of us, that's social media marketing, low cost, easy to do right from the house, go live, do some of that stuff. And then if you don't have an appointment every day, fill that appointment time with some form of training, reading, watching a video, role play, you know, like for our clients, they've got modules to get into and all that stuff. So, you know, to Jason's point, like take a couple of days off. Also, like don't convince yourself you're working all day if you're just making yourself busy. Like creating some balance and finding ways to be really efficient. Like if you sit down to prospect or follow up, you know, do that for whatever it is, 90 minutes or 2 chunks of 90 minutes, whatever your work patterns are, right? If you're great in 45-minute spurts, then do 4 of those, you know, whatever. And then take some breaks and like go for a walk. We're lucky to have I'm looking out at it right now, a big 2-acre backyard here, you know, when it's not really wet. I've just been, you know, walking on the phone some, or, you know, take a 10-minute break and just go outside and get some sun, that kind of stuff. So that's all fairly logical, but I was just giving a glance at that calendar because on the surface, I'm usually a guy that talks about like trying to pack as much in as you can with that balance. And now I'm telling our team, like, look, if you work 5 hours a day really diligently, you're going to come out of this thing ready to kill it. But let me try to point us back to kind of the original slant of the topic, which is like, we're trying to be the voice of calm and optimism specifically. And I know we both naturally are, but even more than normal because there's so much negativity and pessimism, and people are literally tracking every day. The number one stat people are tracking right now is how many people are sick or dying. Like, I understand why, but what a horrible thing to be the dominant number in your mind, right? So what are you doing to help spread some optimism? And then B, what are you doing so that doesn't just drain you? Now, we talked about physical stuff, but like, where are you kind of going to be encouraged, or where are you saying like, hey, you know what? Not today, or not right now. I don't know how you're managing that, but just let's talk about that optimism piece.
Sure. So one of the things I've done is I've done a challenge to my team, coaching clients, colleagues in the industry. It's a 3-step challenge. Read 10 pages a day of a self-help book, highlight it, share it somewhere. Number 2 is I want you to exercise a minimum of 45 minutes a day. Go for a walk, hike, whatever. Get outdoors, do something. And then number 3 is I want you to have a win of the day and a minimum of 10 proactive contacts that you're making in your business every day. But shift the dialogues right now if you need to, obviously with the times, right? Check in on people. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Look for the opportunity. So basically for me, I'm trying to keep people activity focused. So I haven't set a number of like, hey, you need to work 4 hours a day. But what I have done is, hey, let's set some measurable goals that you can 100% influence, 100% have control over, and that we can basically, use as your new plan B going forwards. For the next 30 days, this is the plan that we're going with. And it's working great. For some people, we're dialing it up. Instead of 10 contacts, we're going to 20 contacts just to keep the activity high. What that's doing, and then sharing the win of the day every single day, Monday through Friday, has been big as well, because it's showing that there are things happening. It's not the end of the world, right? There are still things happening. There's great dialogues being had. And so what we're doing is I'm creating this great mastermind group where we're all sharing ideas and pushing each other to be better in a positive headspace. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's sort of the challenge that I've been putting out to others right now is do those 3 things. If you just wake up every day, if you can get some reading in, so you're working on your mind, you get some physical activity in, and you're getting some time where you're connecting with your past clients, your database, and your sphere every day, even shifting the conversation less towards real estate and more towards just connecting with them on a deep level, you're going to be productive. You're going to keep your pipeline full. You are going to be remembered when we come out of the other side of this. And that's what we need right now is more human contact and touch where you can spread optimism. And a little tip that I'll give, the dialogues that I'm basically training people to do is how to shift, because they're all wondering, well, how do I shift the conversation to real estate? I say, well, it's really simple. You ask the question, hey, Todd, how are you feeling? And, Todd would answer, well, I'm feeling nervous or this or that, whatever his answer is. Todd, do you find yourself being like a lot of people where you're feeling like you're really anxious and worried right now? Or are you someone that sees this as an opportunity to maybe capitalize on the upcoming opportunities that'll be in the marketplace? That answer will dictate where you go. If the person says, well, to be honest with you, yeah, I'm actually one of these people that thinks there's going to be some really good opportunity and I'm preparing myself. Well, I can easily shift the conversation there and say, well, that's great. We actually have a lot of our clients right now who are seeing this as a major opportunity. In fact, they've been sort of waiting for this type of opportunity since 2008. So they're seeing this and they're getting themselves ready. This paralysis in the market is going to make it easier for you to navigate. Now, if the person says, look, I'm worried about losing my job, I'm really fearful, blah, 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 we're not even going to talk real estate. Then I'm going to bring reassurance. Hey, you know what? I just want you to know I have a lot of clients that are feeling the exact same way. Here's a few things that we've been recommending. So, if you're not an expert on the different stimulus packages that are available, get to know them, at least the basics, so you can point people in the right direction. Know what options are available. If they're an owner or renters, there's some options where they can defer some mortgage payments to free up some cash flow. Give them something positive that they can take away, right? Let them know that you're there. Be a human. It's not a time to talk real estate for somebody that's worried about their job. Anybody worried about their job right now is not going to buy a house. I think we can all agree on that, right? If you don't believe that you're going to have a job next month, you're not going to be out buying a home. However, you can reassure them. And then when things get back to normal, that relationship will still be strong and then they'll feel more certain. So that's kind of one of the things we're doing.
I love it. We spent the bulk of our group role play call, in our coaching group yesterday, talking about discerning the people that are looking for an opportunity and not underestimating that they're there. I think there's a lot of agents that are actually carrying that pessimism in the back of their mind, and they're assuming that everyone they call is going to answer, I'm fearful and nervous, right? So you got to ask the question or feel it out one way or the other. How are you feeling overall right now? Like where's your head, just kind of about life and work and everything, or some version of that question, and then discern which way to go. But just kind of as a focus group on our coaching group, people pretty much to a person were like, I've been really surprised how many people are looking for opportunities, and it's changed the way I approach the call. And of course, that was my goal, is to point out that there aren't everyone hasn't curled into a ball and is just waiting for the world to burn. Right now, there are people that are wise to be like, look, dude, I'm trying to figure out the next 30 days right now. You're like, I totally get it. Hey, here's some options out there in the marketplace for you to survive. B, let me know what you're looking for. I talked to a lot of people. We've put people in connection for and help people get jobs many times. And then 3, if there's anything, blah, 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 that we could personally, so move that way. Couple things it's got me thinking about. I've been like one to many sharing optimistic market thoughts constantly, right? We hosted a big panel deal on all the stimulus stuff for agents. We're doing a deal tomorrow, how to buy and sell a home during coronavirus for those people that are motivated. I've been doing a lot of radio, just like, hey, here's the market stats that would tell you that there is stuff going on. Now we're coupling all that with some appropriate, like, to safely, respectfully, for the folks that this makes sense, for all that stuff, right? But just to speak directly to the idea, there are parts of the day where I stop and I'm like, man, am I doing a disservice? Am I not appropriately dealing with the fact that this is very real, and it is a little bit scary, and it is a little bit morbid? And the conclusion I've come to repeatedly is that as long as I am respectful and appropriately addressing the reality that this is not normal, this is not about me, and being honest and accurate, that voices like ours are really, really needed.
Yeah.
So, feel free to sharpen me if I'm off on that, but that's where, like, it seems like every couple of days I'm like, man, I don't want to be the guy that's like, no, things are good. No, things are great. No, things are wonderful. And that's not what I'm saying. But we do need to be careful that we don't lose trust by just barking blind optimism all the time. So I've been careful to say, hey, look, here's what would normally be going on. It's certainly not normal, but you might be expecting this, and here's where we really are. You might be thinking you just need to wait till June to get back to business, but there's business happening, So it's a balanced, it's a weighted optimism. But every time I ask myself that question, I come to the conclusion that no, there aren't enough optimistic voices, and so I'm going to get right back in the game and keep it up.
Well, so a couple of things that I'll suggest to the audience. Number one is limit your time on social media right now. There's so many weird conspiracy theories. This is not a left wing versus right wing versus left. It's not any of that, right? If you're American, all Americans need to band together right now. You're Canadian, all Canadians need to band together. Whatever country you're from, we all need to work together right now. This is crazy to think that this is like a political stunt, that this virus is out here. It has nothing to do with politics. So stay off social media. There's so many weird conspiracy theories that you can have your mind just literally absorbed with. Don't spend time there. Spend time on the things you have 100% control and focus on. Put blinders on, pretend like there is nothing going on. Just make adjustments, but pretend like there is nothing going on and focus on your business. Focus on giving more than ever. So the go-giver philosophy, take it to a whole nother level. We're bringing more value, more content than we've ever brought forwards. Yes. Ever. Like I get up at about 6 a.m. and I won't stop until about 6 p.m, Monday through Friday, except for yesterday. I took Easter Monday off, but giving value, giving back, having meetings with everybody, my team, my coaching clients, just helping people right now. So that's where you need to be. You need to be action focused, put blinders on and keep yourself in that headspace. And eventually you'll wake up and realize like, oh, geez, we were in a depression, and you know what? I was able to survive it, and I came out stronger for it. I mean, that's the only way that I see anybody being able to really get through this, is just literally putting blinders on and being focused on what they can control. And then when you're not working, really go pour into your family. I've had a meal with my family for 3 weeks straight, every day of the week. And I'll be the first to admit, I haven't done that in 4.5 years consistently for that length of time. And I know it's sad to say that, but it's true. You know, I'd be lying to you if I said I've had a meal with my family for dinner every single day since I've been in real estate. I haven't. But it feels amazing. My relationship with my kids is the best that it's been in years. You know, that's really good. My wife and I are having better communication, which is important, right? You need to have good communication. Sure, do we have some ups and downs being pent up in the house with 4 kids? Yeah, it's not easy, Todd. I'll tell you that right now. And working from home and me adjusting. But man, I'm really trying hard to work on myself, the people that are in my family, and just improving those things. So that's sort of my message is focus on action and what you can control. Everything else you can't.
Yeah, I think the concept of just giving as much as you can is spot on. And the point I would emphasize even more is you talked about, you know, making it through this and coming out better. And just from a purely business strategic standpoint, I think many of us have an opportunity to come out of this thing like this was like some sort of, I don't know what they're called, war pole or whatever, you know, where you go in and it was 3 months long, but you got 3 years worth of progress as far as market share, mind share, trust in the marketplace, authority, leadership in the eyes of your ideal client, in the eyes of your team, in the eyes of your past and current client base. But if you're not coming from that value perspective, if you're just looking for deals, or if you're just cutting cost and hoping to ride it out, you miss that opportunity. You might survive it still. I think a lot of people will still survive it. Not everyone for sure, but you'll miss that opportunity to come out from a relational perspective, from a business perspective, way better off than you went into. And we've been talking a ton in our coaching group and in our team meetings about what aspects of our lives, especially our business, will never be the same again, right? Like when we say we're back to normal, what parts of normal will never be the same again, right? And we don't need to cover that all now, but if you're not leaning into that and giving and trying to provide value, then you're going to miss that opportunity to come out of this way better off. Because I think one of the biggest things you can do to be better off is to have more people who trust you and more trust with those people.
Yeah. So Todd, we've got 5 minutes here. Why don't we end on something tangible that people can walk away with? I think that's really important and key today. So let's start with if you're a leader right now of a team or a brokerage or a group. Yeah. One thing I will say right now is over communicate. Now, when I say over communicate, I don't mean you pester your people every hour, right? That's not what I mean. Have a couple meetings a day. Start with a meeting in the morning. Set the tone for the day. Maybe share some of the things that people have been reading so they have some positive thoughts to share the group. Maybe share some goals that the team individually has for the day. And then have a meeting at the end of the day. And we do ours at 9:30 and 4:30. At 4:30, let's share those wins that we had of the day. Let's use some of those morning meetings to provide some training. Let's bring in guests maybe once a week, right? If we have different experts in different areas right now, let's bring them in. So we're doing that. We're educating ourselves. We're collaborating. We're sharing wins that we're having, and we're realizing that there is more going on than what you would think if you were just sitting at home. So over communicate, couple meetings a day would be something that I would recommend to any leader right now. If you're an individual agent right now, get into a mastermind group. You're only as smart as the people you rub elbows with. There's a reason why Todd and I both have mastermind groups that we're a part of, that we've started ourselves, and we want to be able to give back, and we encourage others to do the same. And it's a completely safe environment because it's all about pushing each other. So definitely start doing that. This is an amazing, amazing time to do those things. So those are a couple little things that I will say. Over communicate, have lots of meetings right now with your team and keep them positive. Use this as an opportunity to raise their real estate IQs. Go ahead, Todd.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think so much of that is spot on. We've been a morning huddle team for over a decade, right? So we're maintaining that. We're a little bit more active in Slack, and I'm encouraging each and every person to share their personal good news all the time, right? So one of our Slack channels really is just a bulleted list of wins and good news, right? And I love that. I love for them to report those in real time, right? And then we celebrate them every morning at Huddle. So I'm with you 100% on that. I also think as a leader, you want to be a source of optimism and positive information, right? So you're seeking out market data and statistics, as well as articles or news reports or trends that you feel will be encouraging to your team or your agents or your vendor partners, or be talking points that they can then take and reuse, right? So you did the digging and the research and the reading. You pulled the quote out of Napoleon Hill, or you pulled the MLS stat or the market momentum or the Wall Street Journal article or whatever. And you're like, hey, first, read this, be encouraged. Second, take this and go use it in your prospecting, in your conversations, in your encouragement. We have our raving fan club, which is, we call it value beyond the sale. All the stuff we do for our past clients and friends all the time. We've just turned that up so much. Some of it we're having to be careful with social distancing, but we have tons of people using our pressure washer and tree trimmers and stuff right now because they're home doing stuff. And so it's an opportunity to engage. And then we have a bunch of digital stuff our YouTube channel's blowing up right now. We do a lot of radio ads. So every weekend on the radio show, we're interviewing a local small business owner and ways we can promote them and help their business, but also ways they can encourage by how they're getting creative to stay. I mean, there's so many things, but if you could just be a mouthpiece of optimism and value and encouragement, and then do some of the stuff we talked about to refuel your tank. And hopefully we can help you refuel your tank, right? So check us out, check out Facebook groups or coaching groups or Facebook Lives or this kind of podcast show, whatever we call this thing, or YouTube channels or whatever. We want to be an encouragement to you as well. So anyway, any final wrap up thoughts?
You know what? Just remember, we're going to get through this. The Great Depression lasted 18 months. So if that's where we're headed, we're going to have a Great Depression. Okay, let's just embrace it. It is what it is, and let's make the most of it, and let's come out stronger. And let's remember, this will be a period in time that we'll talk about in history books. Our grandkids, kids will be talking about it in the future, and we'll say, hey, we lived through it, and here's what I did. Here's how I wasn't a victim. Here's how I made the most of the opportunity that we've been given. And, I'm hearing some really good stories of people really connecting with family, their clients, and coming together and being resourceful. I'm seeing businesses become resourceful. They're going to have to reinvent themselves. So again, anything you can do to support local right now is huge. So this is a time to support your little mom and pop shops, your little businesses locally. Find a way to support them because they're struggling. They're struggling really bad. And so we want to make sure that those businesses come out of the other side still viable or still open. And so those are things. Be community ambassadors. Todd, I always appreciate time with you, man. This is a blessing for me, and I appreciate your friendship and just the masterminding we do together. So thank you, sir.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you. Same back at you. Appreciate you getting up a little early to do these things with me. And we'll get this one out as quick as we can because it's timely for folks, and hopefully it'll be an encouragement. So we'll catch you guys on the next one. Over and out.